Good morning, period 2. This is Mrs. BK here, and I am going to walk you through how to do a couple things to help you out with your Odyssey final research writing project, in particular, using Noodle tools and using the databases. So you can access this. I'll post this to our class site as a video right in the Wednesday, Friday section once it's done being created and processed. And if you need to go back and refer to it over the next week or so while you're working on this project, you certainly can do that. But what I'm going to show you today is if you forget, again, how to access Noodle tools, how to share your project. If you haven't created it yet, I'll go over that, how to share it with the inbox I created for our class, and then how to pull at least one article off of a database and enter it into your Noodle Tools project that you've created. So let's get started. I'm going to start by opening up a new tab here. And I need to go first to Noodle Tools. As I mentioned yesterday, if you haven't bookmarked the database page for High Point, you definitely should do that. I actually have a folder that I've created bookmarks for important High Point sites. So database is one of them for me, and I'm going to click on that. And it's going to take me right to the Media Center. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to select Noodle Tools. Once I'm in Noodle Tools, I'm going to need to sign in using my user information. I'm going to pick, let's see, my sample student, and I'll sign on in. And you should have any projects that you've already previously created for any classes. I have one right here for a period 7 poetry project. So I'm going to create a new one for this class and this project. In the upper right hand corner, I'm going to click on New Project. I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to call it, let's see, Odyssey Research Project. Sounds perfect. Clearly, I've done this before. You want to make sure that we're in MLA citation style, and you always want to be on the advanced. That gives you the most options. Once you've entered all of that information and checked that everything is checked off properly, you click on the blue Submit button. And now this project has been created for you. You can see it right up at the top. Before I actually open the project and start adding sources, I do want to take a moment to share it with my teacher. So if I scroll on over towards the right-hand side here, you'll see underneath the sharing column, there appears, if I put my cursor there, a plus sign. So if I click on the plus sign, I get a little bit of a pop-up screen here on the right-hand side, and I want to share it with the teacher's inbox. So this is actually I'll take a moment here to mention below here, we're going to use sharing with teacher's inbox. But if you are working on a project with another student and the two of you are collaborating together, you can actually share it with another student by clicking Add Student. So something that might be helpful to you, not only in maybe some of your English classes, but maybe some of your other classes where you're creating shared works cited pages. But let's go through how to share with the teacher's inbox. So if I go to the right, I go to the plus share button, and it gives me a little field here to enter the project inbox name. Typically here, if your teacher tells you what it's called and you start to type it, it'll pop up. So I named our inbox 2022 period 2. I have to spell it right. There we go. So as I'm typing, you can see it pops up, period 2, English 9 Honors, Odyssey Project, Mrs. BK. You can actually then just move your cursor down, click on that, it'll autofill, and then you click Done. And now your project has been shared with your teacher, being me. So that's pretty straightforward. We can X out of this field for sharing because we're not going to do anything else in there today. And now it's time to actually open up our Odyssey research project. And so far, I don't have any sources entered, but I do want to enter a few. The first one that I'm actually going to enter is going to be the book that we're using, primarily because this is going to be my primary source. I do have to have it in my works cited. I am going to be quoting the book throughout my essay. And the easiest way to do that, of course, is you go up and you click on the green New Source button. This is going to be an actual book. So we select print or in hand. Okay, we're going to select book. And we're going to get this whole big field here. Now, we should have the option to, and there it is. There's always this option. I don't know if you've ever noticed this before, import ISBN. If you physically have the book in front of you, I mean, you can go through and you can look for the author's name, the publisher, and all that information that's here, and you can fill all that in. But typically, if you flip over to the back of the book, you can locate the ISBN number. So if I turn our book over, I can see right in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a code there, and below it is an ISBN number. So if I put my cursor right here in the field next to ISBN, I can type in this number. So this number is 037452749. Not sure if I need the dashes or not. We'll find out in a moment. And you just click on search, and we'll see what they came up with here. And in the search, we see that Odyssey, Homer Fitzgerald, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to import selected source. And now it will have entered everything for me. If you scroll back up here, you'll see the information is entered. And I can just click continue. And you always want to, again, you can go down here and look to see that the information has been entered properly. It has. You want to make sure you click on save in the upper right-hand corner. That's one thing with Noodle tools. You always, before you exit out of a screen, you always want to click on save. Otherwise, it will not automatically save. It's not like Google Docs or our Google Sites that sometimes automatically save for us. You have to click on the save button before you exit. So there's my book source. It's already there. Now it's time for me to add, I was thinking about one of the qualities that Odysseus definitely needs to work on is kind of his faithfulness. And I was thinking of a character, or actually an author in this case, from literature, who proved extremely faithful. And to me, I teach sophomore English, and we read The Great Gatsby. And one of the authors, or the author of The Great Gatsby, is F. Scott Fitzgerald. And I do spend some time talking about him. And he was extremely faithful to his very crazy and troubled wife, Zelda Fitzgerald. So I'm going to pick him. So I need to find out a little bit of biographical information about him to support in my essay his faithfulness to his wife, something that certainly he could share, F. Scott Fitzgerald, with Odysseus in his journey, and remind him as he goes through his trials and tribulations to continue to be faithful to Penelope. So I'm going to go back to my media center, and this time I'm going to go to, I know that there's some information in Facts on File. There's actually a whole database that deals just with literature, so I need to sign in, HP Regional Wildcats. And there it is, Bloom's Literature. I'm going to click on this database. And I am going to type in F. Scott Fitzgerald. All right. And I want to focus on biography. So, I mean, there are 891 different search results for that. So I want to narrow it. If I go over to the right under narrow results, I'm going to pick biography. Okay, and then I'm going to maybe pick one or two of these to scan through, find one that gives me, a pretty straightforward generic biography that's not too long to read. I mean, I'm not looking for a ton of information, but definitely will include something about his wife, Zelda. So, I mean, already I see her name popping up in this one. I'm just going to click on this one and see what it is. And so say I take the time to scan through it, I find out that it definitely contains a whole section where he talks about his connection to his wife, how he kind of stood by her even in their later years when she was very troubled. He would never divorce her, even though she wasn't the most faithful. He always was. So say I want to use this source. There's two ways I can go about doing it. The first way, always you want to search for what's called the kind of citation link. And right here on Bloom's Literature, I see it at the top of the article. Sometimes it's at the top of the article. Sometimes it'll be in the right-hand column, sometimes in the left-hand column. You just want to look for it. But if you click on citation, we have a couple of options. I can export it directly to Noodle Tools because I've already created this project and it's open in another tab. And if I do that, that's very simple. First off, I must make sure it's in MLA format. And then I'm going to click on Export to Noodle Tools. I'm going to get a pop-up field that's going to give me what the source would look like. If you scroll down, um, unfortunately, this is in the way. There we go. I can make that go away. There, you can see it gives you the option to select which project you want to send it to in Noodle Tools. Since this is the one I most recently opened up, that's automatically there. But say I wanted to send it to one of the other ones, I could just select it. But I definitely want it to the Odyssey project. And then I just click on Import Reference. And it has successfully, it says, been imported to Noodle Tools. So if we go back over and I open up that tab and I do a quick refresh, I should see it there. And there it is, right up at the top. Okay. Now, the other way that I can do this, if for some reason you don't want to use that feature, which I think is the easiest if you have your Noodle Tools account already up and going, if I'm on the actual article again and I've clicked on citation, I can do a copy paste. I make sure it's in MLA because sometimes you actually don't see the Export to Noodle Tools tab. So it's good to know how to do this step. So all I would do is highlight this, do Control C for copy. Now I'm going to go back to my Noodle Tools account. I'm going to click on New Source. It's coming from a database. All of our databases are reference sources. And so sometimes if you're unsure exactly where it fits, there's a lot of choices here. I always tell my students this is a good one to pick if you know you're just doing a quick cite, that's exactly what we're doing. So I'm going to click on Reference Source. And then up in the top right, I see the field for quick cite, copy and paste a citation. I'm going to click on that. And right here, it'll give me a field to put my cursor. And I'll do Control V. Now, one thing you want to make sure it doesn't look like it did it. Sometimes when it does the copy paste, it puts it in bold. I don't know why. But if for some reason you view this and it looks like it's in bold font, like that, all you have to do before you hit save is just go over it, unbold it, because we shouldn't have anything in bold at that point in time. And then you always have to hit save. Now I should actually see this twice in my list. And so there it is once, there it is twice, and there's the book. I don't need both of these. All right, so I am going to get rid of one of them. I'll get rid of the second one. Anytime you want to delete a source, you just go to the little three tabs, or if you want to add something to it, edit it, whatever it might be. But in this case, I'm just going to hit delete and it's going to go away. And that's good to know because as you are going through the databases and you're maybe thinking about an article that you want to use, you can just keep adding them here. And then when it comes time to actually write your essay and you actually pick which sources you're going to use or not use to cite, you can delete the ones that you end up not using. That kind of makes the most sense. I will show you also how you actually can export your works cited page to add to the end of your essay. I'm not going to include that in this video. I will include that next week in a separate video once you've gathered some sources in Noodle Tools, and I'll go through those steps and processes then. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know.